It's been called one of the hardest climbs on planet Earth. The shark's fin of India's Mount Meru stands 21,000 feet above the Ganges River. The mountain has defeated many who tried to reach the summit, but it remains irresistible for some of the world's toughest climbers.
A new documentary called Meru follows 3 Americans as they take on the challenge.
You know, this is steep, modern A4-8 climbing. It's using tools. You're a craftsman, tapping and pounding and tweaking, and he's like this cabinet maker, you know, chiseling away this cabinet out of walnut or something, except, you know, if you hit that chisel one more time in your cabinet maker, maybe you split it and you ruin this cabinet. Bummer. If on an A4 pitch, you like split the cabinet, you die.
Co-directors Jimmy Chen, a member of the climbing team, and Chai Vasarhelyi are with us, along with best-selling author Jon Krakauer. He is a featured commentator in the movie. He's also an accomplished climber in his own right. Good morning. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks.
Good morning.
So, Jimmy, you were part of the 3-member team that decided to take on this mountain in 2008, and there's a great moment in the film where one of the climbers says, "Why do this stuff?"
Right.
Can you answer that question?
That has a lot of layers to it. You know, climbing is a passion and it's a calling, and much like if you're a musician or an artist and, you know, you're drawn to a craft, the stakes are obviously a bit different. But, you know, on Mount Meru, it was also my mentor Conrad Anker's 20-year dream. Yeah.
You know, Jon, I feel like there are so many misconceptions about the kind of person that would want to do a climb like this. And I feel like when we listen to you talk about it, it sort of changes our perception of who that person would be. Was that a goal you started off with?
I've been climbing. I'm 61. I've been climbing since I was 8, and I've written about climbing for many years. So I'm always trying to explain why people do it and dispel misconceptions.
Well, what are those common misconceptions? What do people assume?
People assume it's all about the adrenaline, that they're adrenaline junkies, it's about the thrill, and that's really not. I mean, it's not bungee jumping, it's not crossing your fingers and saying a prayer and jumping off a bridge. It's making these very precise calculations about what the risk is, how close to the edge you're willing to take it. You know, to be able to climb something like Meru, this is a lifetime of experience gained that gives them the judgment and the skills to do this. It's dangerous, but what they did isn't reckless. You know, you can argue with the judgments they've made, but they can defend them. And climbers we often make each other defend our judgments. Like, man, that was a stupid thing you did. You should have, you know, put in a bigger anchor. And they say, no, I knew what I was doing. I mean, there's this back and forth. We're always checking each other's knots and checking each other's judgment. We're not crazy. I mean, we might be stupid, but we're not crazy. So.
Chai, you're the co-director on this. You were not on the mountain itself, but one of the things that sets this film apart, I think, from other mountain climbing films, which I happen to be addicted to. I love all those kinds of nature films. But this film delves into not only what the climbers grapple with emotionally, their own fears and anxieties, but the people they leave behind who are really afraid for them, for their loved ones, and the understanding they have for that addiction that they have to climb.
Bringing in the human story and the relationships that sustain these climbers was a very important part of what we set out to do, because it's part of why they do it. You know, they have these very, very strong. We see Conrad Anker's wife Jenny Anker in the film. We see Jimmy's sister Grace. We talked to Renan's girlfriend Amy, and just including them in the experience we thought was an important part of the story.
Is it true, though, that you are somewhat afraid of heights?
I mean, I'm not a climber. Yes, yes.
So it must have been, I mean, there must have been a lot of conversations, because even when you see the footage, my first thought was, how did they capture some of this? Like, you have 2 small cameras, right?
Yes. Myself and Renan Ozturk, my climbing partner, we were trading off cameras, and essentially, you know, he would shoot when I was climbing, and I would shoot when he was climbing. And there were a lot of challenges to that.
Well, that's one of the incredible things about this. When you see the stunning footage, that you're not only having to worry about climbing one of, if not the most difficult climbing challenges anywhere, but you're taking these amazing, stunningly pictures, images, video images the whole way up. Jon, we were talking about that in the green room. I mean, what kind of an accomplishment is that?
It's incredible. I mean, you know, it's 20 below zero. you've got gloves on. You know, your hands are so cold you can barely tie a knot, and periodically you've got to take a glove off, not drop the glove, or you're going to lose your hand. Not drop the card, you're going to have nothing to show. And you've got to, you know, change these memory cards. You've got to be thinking. It's so much more energy. A lot of times Jimmy would be climbing off to the side while Renan or Conrad is climbing. I mean, it's not, it doubles the amount of energy burned and the effort and the psychic effort to, it's just so hard.
What for you two, as directors of this film, is the takeaway? What do you want people, after they see this, to think about climbers, and especially dangerous climbs like this?
Well, I really wanted to share the aspects of climbing that I don't think a lot of people recognize, and that have been so important in my life, and why I find climbing so valuable, which is the friendships and the mentorship. And you know, Conrad's been a mentor for me for 10 years, and he's had a tremendous impact on my life. And you know, those relationships and that trust and that loyalty is so much a part of why we do it. You know, of course there's being on the side of the mountain and the beauty and the grandeur, but at the core of it is really your friendships.
Well, thank you all so much for coming in. Appreciate it very much. Yeah. Meru can be seen in select theaters across the country with a national rollout to follow.